I'm going to cover today is really share with you our perspective and my perspective about data, big data, and where the industry is going, where we are. And it's always a pleasure to come to Bashir's events here because the people in the room, you're all at the top of your fields, and the companies here are all the ones that are really pushing the envelope and at massive scale. So as I'm going through this, it's going to be quick, but if you have a question, I'm happy to take it on stage. Otherwise, we'll have some time for Q&A later. But why don't I just kick off and talk about big data, because everybody throws that around as a term, right? And it's almost getting to be used really kind of indiscriminately, and it's really about not only huge volumes of data, so structured data, unstructured data, and being able to store massive amounts of it, but it also implies the part about how do you actually access that data, how do you get insights from that data, how do you derive value from the data, because it's no good to just have a bunch of data sitting around that you're not listening to. And the other thing that we're all faced with is just the volume of data that is being generated. So back in 2005, 130 exabytes were created around the world in the year. But if you look at what's happening, that trend is just exploding. So by 2020, there are going to be 40,000 exabytes created. And so when you think about volumes, that means like every year from now forward, data volumes that are being produced are going to be doubling. So every year, doubling. And a lot of us are sitting here saying, hey, how do I deal with the data that I've got today? The infrastructure is expensive. I'm spending a lot. I got to get all this gear. Just keep in mind that when you always look back in time, the problems of yesterday seem so quaint. It was like storage on a machine, or the amount of computing power in your phone, or your desktop. They're all insignificant. And the volumes of data that you're processing today, in just a few years, are going to look easy to handle. But the key is that you're going to have to invest in it. And you have to get the right infrastructures in place. You have to get the right tooling in place, the teams, because this data explosion is on us. And the trends are already really, really clear. And the reason is you've got to both capture all this data, but you need to make sure that you're enabling people to derive value from it. And one of the key things that we do at PayPal across all the different use cases is really surface this data, bring a tool set in place so that teams can work on it, can iterate on it, can start applying both machine learning algorithms, but also insight based on analytics, and refine theories and algorithms and insights. And then once we've got something, we can apply it across a global landscape. And really, the point that we're all after is the key on the right-hand side, right? How do you actually impact the business? How do you help the business from those insights? What you've got to do is make sure that you're building the entire ecosystem to make this a reality. And what that looks like, there's a great slide that really captures it. Is that you've got to have an architecture and a framework and both people and tools that make it happen. And there are a few things that I wanted to call out here. On an enterprise scale, a key thing that we've been doing is making sure that access to the data is done across a wide variety of groups. A lot of companies fall into the world where there are a lot of data islands, right? You've got little silos. Somebody built a little data mart. There's a research group that's got a Hadoop cluster, and they're doing some data. There might be an enterprise data warehouse, and yet all of this stuff is fragmented. You're not pulling your investments together, and as a result, you're getting a lot of things that are locked up. On the flip side, other companies I've seen go too far, right? They have one thing they know how to do. Maybe it's a really large enterprise data warehouse, and everything goes into it. And while it works for some things, it actually loses a lot of flexibility because you're not necessarily using the right tools for the right job.